Hi Pinkies! Welcome to another Storytime Saturday. Man, it has been a while since we've done one of these and I'm really excited to do it because this is something that's been on my mind and really on the minds of a lot of people in the creative industry recently, the strikes. Everybody knows about the strikes, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about what they're about, but basically if you don't know, the writers in Hollywood are striking against the studios because of unfair wages and also the threat of AI. With the birth of streaming, residuals have been slimmer than usual. If you don't know what residuals are basically getting paid. Every time your movie shows on TV or your show gets shown on TV, you get paid another time for your work. This is why a lot of people would go after like making a theme song on a TV show like MASH or Andy Griffith. Because even if that melody isn't perfect, it's not like the greatest, most defining song of a generation. Every time it plays, you get a residual for that. And then any other actual creative pursuits you can fund with that less interesting one. For the longest time, I didn't really consider myself an artist. I like creative stuff, I love artists, but I never found myself being able to fit into that group very neatly. But a lot of time I found that artists don't tend to have a lot of experience marketing or finding a way to monetize their thing. Sometimes as artists we don't know what we have, and other times we know what we have, but we kind of expect it to come to us. This is coming off really petty and that's not how I mean it. All I'm trying to say here is that oftentimes marketing people and people who know how to work the capitalist system are able to monetize artwork and really take advantage of artists who don't know how to do that kind of stuff. It's become really obvious that artists have been taken advantage of for centuries. If we even look further back, Vincent van Gogh had to burn his own paintings to survive, just to keep warm at night. I was reading this old English poem called Widsith the Wanderer. It's about this guy who's a poet and he's sort of exploring the world, and the whole time he's just consumed by his loneliness. It seems that his tribe, his nation is gone. All of his friends are gone. His golden friend, we can debate the queerness of that relationship, but he calls him his golden friend, who could be his best friend or something more, who knows, is also gone. He's not alive anymore. We even hear him talk about the many, many deaths and wars that he's fought in, all the people he's seen die. He's very alone. I think this is super relatable as an artist because sometimes it feels like the creativity parts of us flow out of us and they can express so many different ideas and so many different things about the world, escapism, all these themes that we want to express and we think of all the time, but they're not necessarily true about our actual lives. If we look at the last writer's strike, which happened in the 70s, before Star Wars, before any of this stuff, we see a big boom afterwards. A lot of creative projects start getting funding after the writer's strike. George Lucas talks about some of the bigwigs at Hollywood being kicked out and new people coming in who haven't really figured out the power structure yet, haven't found a drive to get to that power. They'll sort of greenlight things willy-nilly, seeing what'll work and what won't. History often repeats itself, and as we can see now, there's an interesting box office effect happening right now. Everyone is talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer, and they're interesting movies because they're very antithetical to each other, and one of them is very bright, very corporate, has this imagery of something different. I mean, Oppenheimer has this big cinema aspect to it. You really want to see it because all of your favorite actors are there. Your favorite director of all time who really knows how to craft a great movie is there. But at the same time, Barbie is just something to have fun with. And there's something to love about it. At the same time, it is a direct corporate attack on Christopher Nolan. Warner Brothers greenlit Barbie and set it up to be competing with Oppenheimer because Christopher Nolan's last movie, Tenet, was under Warner Brothers and they released it on HBO Max. He was really upset about this and went to Paramount to produce this movie because he wanted to like get back at Warner Brothers. I think these revenge movies have a surprising box office effect, and that's a whole nother topic, but if we look at Top Gun Maverick, the same sort of thing happened. Christopher McQuarrie pitched a Superman movie to Warner Brothers, and they said, no, would you want to do this instead? And he said, no, I don't want to fix your broken ideas, I want to make my ideas. Then he went over and made Top Gun Maverick, and he made Mission Impossible Fallout. Some really great movies. I think these revenge movies have a lot of drive behind them, and as you can see in the box office, they really have a good punch too. But what's interesting to look at now is that the newest Mission Impossible and the newest Indiana Jones movie are not doing as well as Oppenheimer and Barbie. Two movies that are completely different. I mean, they're not franchise movies. Barbie is, but it's something new. It's a new take. It's a creative vision that's colorful and bright and different from some of the stuff that we've been getting this year with Ant-Man and the Wasp. These movies just feel different, and it's a creative breath of fresh air that we don't really see in Hollywood. With the era of AI written movies, AI actors, and all of this stuff, I'd be surprised if we can get something this creative. Studios want franchise movies. They want something that they know has a built-in audience that they can create something for and has a guaranteed box office. If I was a betting person, I would say that these studio execs who are prompting AI to write their new scripts are going to be trying to make new Star Wars movies, new franchise movies, new Marvel movies. They're not going to be trying to do a Barbie or an Oppenheimer. Maybe they will now, but I just don't see it. With the strike, the writers and the actors have come together and asked the studios if they would now be willing to negotiate after the strikes. And the studios have said no, and then doubled down and said, we're going to start hiring AI specialists. Streaming services have all been losing money except for Netflix, which is the one who doesn't pay residuals. It seems that there's no profitability to be found if the residuals are paid, because the only profitable streaming service right now is Netflix. And Netflix doesn't pay any residuals, they just pay you an upfront price tag. So what's the solution here? How can we pay writers what they need to be paid without going to AI, without merging all the streaming services into one mega streaming service that costs hundreds of dollars a month? What do? Here's the thing. Hollywood can try all they want to try and make franchise movies with AI writers, with AI actors, with non-guild actors, with non-guild writers. Joker is one of the cheapest movies to make $1 billion. It cost $70 million to make, and still, it was a movie with very little special effects that had a few big name actors, and it did really well, but it was nothing compared to A24's Everything Everywhere All at Once. This movie was a phenomenon. I mean, it won tons of awards, made a lot of money, and it only cost $25 million. The solution is not making a bigger studio. The solution is going independent. Hollywood is a monopoly, but it's a moving monopoly. I mean, you can't copyright cameras. You can't patent CGI. It's too late for that. Those resources are available to everyone now. And the thing is, people can do it for cheaper without interference from studio, and the artistic vision can hold its independence. Now more than ever, there's so many people out there willing to create, and to create things that really mean a lot to them. We can debate all we want on the quality of what the writers and the actors have been putting out recently. I mean, I did not like any of the Marvel shows that have ever come out on Disney+. They're all pretty bad. The thing is, you can't fault a good writer for being on a bad project. They don't necessarily choose every project. There seems to be a fear right now from Hollywood studios of making new big names. They don't want new big names because big names require big money. Try and make Deadpool without Ryan Reynolds. That's not gonna work, it's just not. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are probably not gonna be in the Fantastic Four now because the price tag is too big. The problem is not creating big names. Big names are an asset. If Black Adam didn't have Dwayne Johnson, it wouldn't have been able to lift up the careers of so many of the other people attached to it. If Top Gun didn't have Tom Cruise, the same thing wouldn't have happened. Creating big names should be a goal. I'm getting kind of off track here, and obviously this whole video has been a tangential journey, as they always are with Storytelling Saturdays. But let me conclude with this. People are asking, how should I help with the strike? What can I do to help? I'm sure there's things you could donate to. I'm sure there's things you could do if you're an executive at a studio. I'm sure there's ways to have your voice heard by tweeting at studios or doing something like that. But in this case, I'm going to call you to create. After the pandemic, there were so many movies that needed VFX that VFX studios literally ran out. There started to become a queue of movies that needed VFX. People were lined up outside of VFX studios just waiting for their movie to have the CGI done on it. Right now, the opposite is happening. VFX artists, talented actors, talented writers, talented directors are all out there waiting for something to do. Now, obviously, I don't think you can just call up Tom Cruise and say, hey, be in my indie film, but I do think you can get help from writers. Instead of going to ChatGPT, who's just going to regurgitate exactly what you said back at you while citing other stuff that it's also stealing, find a writer. You can always donate to somebody, but when you employ them, you're actually giving them something to do. And if you don't have all the money in the world, or you don't want to do any of that stuff, that's totally fine. Just use some of this time that we have to enjoy all of the new entertainment that we've gotten in the past few years. I feel like it's been like a content barrage. There's so much stuff on Disney+, on Hulu, on Netflix, that I haven't even had the time to sink my teeth into because it's just one after another after another. So now we at least have a break. I know tons of extremely talented actors out there in the world feel completely unprepared and too scared to even go into Hollywood because they feel like they have no chance. This is your chance. Create stuff. Get your stuff out there. It's a whole new world. I don't know what I'm saying anymore, but thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the strikes and things that you want to create in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, Pinkies. It looks really nice and cool today. It looks like I'm in Washington. Looks like a rainy, overcast day. It is in fact extremely muggy. I am sweating bad.